Today I'm talking about Iowa, the 2001 sophomore album from the most popular heavy metal man in the world, Slipknot. Slipknot's the enigma of Slipknot is hard to be defined in just a couple of sentences. The amount of influence they have on what heavy metal music sounds like today cannot be understated. This is their second album, but their debut album back in either it was 2000 flat or 1999 was their breakthrough onto the scene with immediate fame and immediate popularity. Numbers like that on something so brutal, something so raw, could not be understated. And then they followed up with this album just 2 years later. It's heavily contested which album is better amongst the fan base, or the fan base of like true diehard critical fans, but also fans of Slipknot. Which album is really better? And from my personal listening experience, it's also really hard to tell. Today I'll be talking about Iowa, but I might also talk about the debut some other time because they are both masterpieces in their own music. This album's raw emotion cannot be understated on any track that you listen to, whether it's the one of the opening tracks or the big hit of the album, People Equals S Word, where the brutal screams on the climb up to the chorus and the actual chorus hits and it's just as hard. Or on Disaster Piece with those insanely memorable one-liners that I could not dare to repeat, and those appear everywhere on this album. Something that I feel like lacks in the debut, but shines greatly in this one. There's also, despite the sheer mass of harrowing screams from lead vocalist Corey Taylor, he hits a great amount of vocal high notes on the album as well. On tracks like the Heretic Anthem, or Everything Ends, or Left Behind, where he hits this "We all got left behind" and then immediately goes back down to his growl and scream, but still hits these really nice high notes. Something done better on the debut album, but not as prevalent here. But again, I'm talking about this album, not the debut album. I'll do something else with the debut album, but this album cannot be understated. Coming out in the time of 2001 especially, where there was a lot of crap to cut through to get anything good in this era. There were a lot of really terrible rap heavy metal acts that just sucked, and you had to crawl through all of them, and Slipknot was one of those golden nuggets that you just got after clearing all the crap away. There were very few bands of this time, like Slipknot or System of a Down or Linkin Park, even some of Linkin Park's greatest songs, shined through amazingly here. And this album cannot be understated for its influence on the heavy metal scene. If you listen to this album, you will get hit with catchy chorus after catchy chorus, unless you don't listen to heavy metal music. If you don't listen to heavy metal music and you play this, you're going to be so lost on what's happening, and it's just going to be a lot of screaming to you. But if you give it time, it'll eventually make sense to you. I mean, some of these songs, if you maybe open your mind and don't read the lyrics, could be very catchy to you as a first-time listener to heavy metal. They're honestly a great starter album if you want the true raw heavy metal and don't want to mess with the baby new metal stuff that was all coming out this era. I think this album is a great starter album for heavy metal fans, but also a must listen to for any veteran of the heavy metal genre. If you have not listened to this album as a heavy metal fan, do yourself a favor and listen to the four founders of modern day heavy metal music. Anything that we listen to now will have had to have at least had some sort of growth out of Slipknot. There's almost no denying this. Some of the titles of this were crazy too for its time, like People Equals S Word, crazy title, or New Abortion, or The Heretic Anthem. Just sure, nothing compared to what we see now in black metal projects and death metal projects where they title them insanely weird, but still pretty crazy for the time of 2001 especially. Again, do yourself a favor as a heavy metal fan and listen to the forefathers of any modern day heavy metal. that's about all I have. Thanks.